Hello everyone. Let's talk about having a web presence as a Unit 5 teacher. Now first of all, what is a web presence and why do you need one? So as a teacher, you should have yourself online in some form or another. This helps with communication, both with parents and students, and it also is going to help you be able to collaborate with your students if you have a non-public online version of your classroom. Now, since I brought that up, there are typically public versions of being on the web and non-public versions, and that's no different here in Unit 5. The public version of being on the web is through using our public website service called Schoolwires. So if you've ever been to unit5.org, you are looking at Schoolwires. And this is fully accessible to the public. And you as a teacher should have a Schoolwires page dedicated to yourself. And to show you an example, I'm going to pull up a teacher from Normal Community High School. His name's Mr. Steve, and you'll see that this is part of his public Schoolwires page. And at the high school, there's a very simple template that is used that shows your name, contact information at the top, your current schedule, a photo of yourself so that parents have an idea of who you are and what you look like, and then down at the bottom, links to more information about yourself and possibly even links to your non-public web presence. So I'm actually going to follow this link right here and show you, again, all of this is public. Mr. Steve has personal information, again, ways to contact him, and then he has individual pages for his classes and for his extracurricular activities, baseball. You can see that this page follows the good guidelines of being a public web presence for yourself, which is that it's formal, it is simple, it is easy to navigate, and it is professional looking. Now you'll also see that Mr. Steve had a link to his CMS page. And this is going to be the non-public side of you on the web. And this could take the form of a CMS page or a Google Classroom page, but this is something that is going to be locked behind a username and password. So this is not accessible by everybody in the world. But students would be able to get into this, and this is where you can put up all the information and materials for your classes. All right. And realize that this is not accessible to the public. So you're a little more free to maybe not be as clean and professional with it as you really need to be with your public side of your web presence. Okay, so there's a public and non-public side. The next thing is how do we really get started with these two things? Well, if we're talking about Schoolwires and your public presence, the first thing that you'll want to do is contact your webmaster at your building. Find out who it is, get in touch with them and say, hey, I would like to have a space set up for me on the web. And they will get you all started. And then after that, you can contact Dana Brown at the unit office, and she will set you up with a username and a password so that you can get logged into Schoolwires and get started. Now, when we're talking about CMS and Google Classroom, there you can get in contact with your instructional coaches and your mentors, and we can all help you get set up on those things and get started learning how to use them. So finally, I want to just demonstrate kind of the basics of website building in Schoolwires, nothing complex. But we're going to do that by coming back here to Mr. Steve's page. And once you have a space all set up for you by your webmaster, and you've contacted Dana Brown, and you have a username and password, you can navigate to your site. And at the very top of the page, you can go to Sign In. And this is where you're going to put in your username and password. This will direct you back to your website, but now up at the top, you'll see that there's this option for Site Manager. And if that button is not there, it means that your webmaster has not set up the space for you yet in Schoolwires. So then you can get back in contact with them. But once it's set up, you click into Site Manager, you'll see it opens a new page. And this new page would have all of the pages for your individual website all set up right here. Your homepage, personal information, the individual classes, and you'll see on his page back here that those are the pages listed along the left side. All right. Now I'm going to go back to his teacher page real fast because I want to show you when you're editing things what this is going to look like for you. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Mr. Steve's main page here. Okay, and I'm going to put that off to the side. And then this on the left over here is what this page on the right looks like when you're editing it behind the scenes. And you'll see that Schoolwires breaks this down into these different, they call them apps, these different sections of your web page. So there's 4 different sections over here, and they correspond to 4 sections on the actual site. So up at the top, you have this name area, and that's going to hold this Mr. Steve and the email and the phone extension. And then you have a schedule block or app, and you have a photo app, and those correspond to these 2 spaces here. And then at the bottom, you have this links space, and that's where he's put in these 2 links. And if you want to edit any of these, you can simply click on the schedule app, and you'll see it opens up a space for you to edit that schedule. And if you're a high school teacher, you would do this at the beginning of every year so that your schedule is up to date on your public Schoolwires page. Now you can also change this at any time. So if I come back over here on the right side, you'll see this Manage Apps and Layouts area. And once I click into that, I can now drag these apps around and dump them wherever I want. So if I was to put the name section down at the bottom and save that, then the name section on Mr. Steve's website would jump all the way down to the bottom underneath his links. All right, I'm going to drag that back up there so I don't mess up his page. You can also add new apps. So if I wanted a new app underneath the name one, I can go into Add Apps, and I have a big long list of different apps that all have different functions. These are all little templates for you, so they make it easier to add something like a photo gallery or a question and answer section. So I could choose one of those and add a new app. I could also change the layout. Right now we have a top and bottom area and then a middle section that's separated into 2. I could change this so that it just looked like a simple 1-column website or a 3-column website. All right, I can change that to look however I'd like. So those are the basics of what your site looks like on the back end. Right? You have these apps that you can add, remove, edit, and once you save those changes, they're updated on your actual web page. Now, any more complicated than that, and we're going to want to get in contact with our webmaster, our mentors, our instructional technology coaches. We can all help you set up more in-depth websites so that you can display exactly what you want to the public. So hopefully you now know why you should have a web presence, the difference between a public and a non-public web presence, how to get started, and the basics of putting together a Schoolwires website. Thanks for watching.